You may now begin your presentation.
We are the youth of today and the leaders of tomorrow. We're excited for what's ahead. Yet, the future our generation is inheriting is in crisis. The world is broken.
Last year, we stood before you and said it feels overwhelming and out of our control. But this year, we're taking control. We know it's up to us to create the change that is needed.
It's going to take all of us working together. Yet there are youth that have typically not been part of the conversation, those facing both systemic barriers and the greatest impacts from our broken world. Real change demands that we start there.
So at Enactus Laurier, our team of over 80 passionate leaders is working together with youth from 2 marginalized groups to create a path to a brighter future. Indigenous youth in Canada's north facing limited employment opportunities and a severe housing crisis, and autistic youth facing barriers to employment and the support they need to succeed.
The employment rate for autistic people across Canada is less than 15%, and government support programs typically end at age 18. After which, without employment, they are left to survive on disability payments that average just over $14,000 per year, putting them well below the poverty line.
This is what it feels like for autistic youth like Jeremy.
It's like being just on the edge of drowning and you can feel the water going into your lungs, but there's nothing you can do about it because there's so many things pulling you down. And even though you're the best at a job, it doesn't matter. You could be the best swimmer in the world, but the same people who need you for that job are the ones pushing you under the water, and the whole system is set up just enough so that you can never catch a breath to pull yourself out by your own strength.
Unfortunately, Jeremy's experience is not unique. People on the spectrum face barriers due to our lack of understanding, which leads to biases and an undervaluing of their strengths.
But it shouldn't be this way. People with autism are neurodiverse, which means that they think differently and interact with the world in a unique way. But this diversity of thinking is exactly what we need to create the change we seek.
So for the last 6 months, we've been developing Sapphire to create the first comprehensive program to successfully transition autistic post-secondary students into meaningful employment with the skills and support they need to thrive.
We're co-creating the program with 9 autistic youth, have consulted numerous industry organizations, as well as a number of experts with lived experience. We are also conducting a formal ethics-approved research study, interviewing 100 autistic people about their workplace experiences to ensure their voices are at the forefront of our program design.
We displayed our program at the Canadian Autism Leadership Summit in April, where we gained valuable insights and connections.
Our holistic program leverages technology to provide autistic post-secondary students with future-ready workplace skills, internship opportunities, and peer-to-peer support.
We've partnered with Wavemakers to provide training on their immersive virtual reality platform and are working with the Sunif Family Foundation to design our curriculum. After running pilots this summer, we look forward to our first full cohort this fall.
We're working with Magnet to provide experiential internship opportunities to the students, 70% funded through the Student Work Placement Program. Not only will the students gain experience in the workplace, but participating organizations will gain greater awareness and understanding of the unique talents and strengths of individuals with autism.
To ensure the students have the support they need, we're working with ND Connect, a platform created by and for neurodivergent people that will connect the students to a community of peers and mentors with lived experience that will help them navigate the barriers they face and enhance their sense of belonging.
Our team members will also be on the platform, along with other support people at our university, to connect the students to the wider community and provide resources and mentorship. All of our team members will complete neuro-inclusivity training through the Geneva Centre for Autism before joining the platform, and we're partnering with Autism Canada to develop our own tailored training program.
We've received almost $30,000 in funding, part of which will go towards providing the ND Connect platform as a free service to the autistic students in our program.
Within the next year, we project to provide work-ready skills training and internship opportunities to a minimum of 50 students and provide resources, mentorship, and peer-to-peer support to over 100 students on the platform.
We're starting with students at our university, but plan to quickly scale to other post-secondary institutions across Canada with the support of the Canadian Association of Career Educators and Employers.
Together with autistic youth, we can start changing the narrative. But there are other marginalized youth left out of the conversation. 2 years ago, when we started working with Indigenous communities in the North, we learned how critical it is that the voices of the next generation are at the forefront in order to create truly effective solutions for tackling the barriers they face.
Indigenous youth make up nearly 1/3 of all homeless youth in Canada. despite being less than 5% the total population. And in the Northwest Territories alone, just over half of Indigenous people are employed.
But addressing these problems isn't enough. There is also a severe housing crisis in Canada's north. Over 31% of Indigenous households fail to meet one or more of the national housing standards. They're living in homes that are unhealthy, overcrowded, and unaffordable.
To make matters worse, Indigenous communities are on the front lines of climate impacts. With northern Canada warming at 3 times the global rate, Indigenous communities are facing severe forest fires, floods, and melting permafrost that destabilize their housing. Typical solutions just aren't working.
Traditional stick-built construction only adds to the problem, creating a third of the world's overall waste and almost 40% of the world's CO2 emissions.
To tackle this complex problem, we traveled in the summer of 2022 to a remote Indigenous community in the Northwest Territories to listen and speak directly to those affected. We then partnered with the Western Arctic Youth Collective, co-creating solutions with 24 Indigenous youth, supported with funding from the John Dobson Foundation.
We've heard loud and clear that meeting the national housing standards is just the bare minimum. Their homes need to be climate resilient to withstand the climate impacts they're facing, built with sustainable materials and practices to reduce future impacts, designed for the harsh northern temperatures in the most energy efficient way, and rapidly deployable to account for the short building season and logistical constraints of building in the north.
So that's what we've done at Caponia Innovations. Over the past 2 years, we've worked with Indigenous youth and experts in sustainability and northern housing to develop an affordable house-in-a-box kit containing innovative, future-proof materials that can be rapidly assembled using local labor.
Our homes will be built on climate-resilient foundations that will stabilize them in areas of melting permafrost and raise them above the flood line.
The building envelope will be constructed with structural insulated panels that are manufactured off-site to reduce on-site construction waste. The panels are a certified green product, create a highly energy-efficient building envelope, and are also extremely fire and water resistant.
The exterior of our homes will be sprayed with a fire-retardant coating made from sustainable cork that adds additional thermal protection, and combined with our roll-on roofing system, the fire and water resistance of the building envelope is further improved.
For the interior, we're using 100% water-resistant recyclable wall and ceiling panels that won't mold and install 4 times faster than drywall. Our carbon-neutral bio-based flooring is made with over 40% recycled material.
But to truly make each house a home, we've partnered with IKEA to provide furnishing packages for residents to choose from and have prioritized the use of renewable energy sources while incorporating both net zero and passive house principles into our design, reducing overall operating costs.
We're working on a partnership with Home Depot to provide many of the additional components at reduced pricing, helping to maintain the affordability of our homes.
The majority of our materials are sourced in Edmonton, where they will be packed in sea cans and shipped to our construction partners and communities to be rapidly assembled on-site in as little as 3 weeks.
The voices of Indigenous youth have led our design process, ensuring that the design respects our culture and puts the wants and needs of the next generation at the forefront. Tate describes the importance of our work together.
We have the ability and the responsibility to work with a group like Caponia to find solutions that are practical, are tangible, and are engaging with the community on the ground to actually understand what the needs are and then develop a plan that works.
Our one-bedroom-based model reflects the gap in northern housing supply. According to the Minister of Housing for the NWT, there are currently over 580 people on the waiting list for one-bedroom units in community housing alone.
But innovative, future-proof housing isn't enough. With the low levels of employment for Indigenous people in the north and the scarcity and high cost of external skilled labor, we made sure that our homes could be assembled by local community members with minimal training to build green skills for future employment.
We're working with Aurora College's Trades and Apprenticeship Program to support the training of Indigenous youth and create credentials for sustainable building. And to facilitate the assembly of our components on site, we're working with experts to create an assembly guide using augmented reality that tracks progress and allows for real-time support.
Through our partnership with Blue Door, we're also looking to provide a pre-apprenticeship program designed specifically for individuals facing employment barriers, in particular homeless youth, to provide them with the skills needed for success in the trades.
With these skills, youth will not only be able to build their own homes and gain employment on future builds, but also become certified installers and create their own businesses. We've partnered with Prosper NWT, who has committed to investing up to $41 million to support the creation of Indigenous-led businesses, with our team providing business planning and mentorship support.
By prioritizing community labor, the finished cost of our homes is much more affordable. Our house-in-a-box materials kit is priced at just under $150,000, and by assembling the homes themselves, community members can cut the fully finished cost by up to 60%.
When we presented in front of you last year, we had secured just over $10,000 in funding, and we're planning to build our pilot home in the fall. Unfortunately, due to the devastating wildfires that occurred last summer, we had to delay building.
But we continue to work on Caponia and are happy to announce that as of today, we've received over $245,000 in non-dilutive funding, are waiting confirmation for an additional $760,000 from Natural Resources Canada, and are set to build our first pilot home this July on our contractor side in Yellowknife.
With current interest alone, we have lined up 3 additional pilots for this year and have 7 signed letters of interest from all 3 Indigenous groups across the North. We also were invited at the Nunavut Housing Corporation to build a minimum of 28 units to support their plan of 3,000 new homes by 2030.
Over the next 2 years, we project to build 53 homes for up to 80 people, creating up to 116 new jobs for Indigenous youth in the North and revenue of $7.8 million.
And after presenting at the National Congress on Housing and Homelessness in April, we received interest from communities and provinces across Canada. But our scaling potential is much larger, as we've received interest for our homes to be used as accessory dwelling units in urban centers, and are currently working with a community housing provider in Barrie to build 20 to 25 units for homeless youth.
We may be the youth of today, but we're the leaders of tomorrow. At Enactus Laurier, we take this responsibility seriously. We believe that to create the world we want to live in, we need to continue working side by side with those often excluded from the conversation. We're taking control and changing the narrative. That is our promise to the future.
We will now begin the question and answer period. Judges, please raise your hand to indicate you have a question, and a microphone will be brought to you.
Congratulations, team, on your commendable achievements. I'd like to talk specifically about Caponia Innovations. Can you tell us about the institutional knowledge inside the team to develop the project, actually develop the product, and then what scalability looks like on a move-forward basis?
Absolutely. So our university actually has a research office in the North that has connected us with communities and partners that have educated us on what is required for Northern housing. So we're working very closely with those partners, and we also have connected with experts in sustainability, architecture, to finalize our floor plans, as well as the Indigenous youth themselves to educate us on what needs to be involved in creating a house that suits their culture and their wants and needs. As for scalability, there is a huge need for housing across the North. Just in the Northwest Territories alone, there's over 580 people waiting on one-bedroom units. But besides that, there's a housing crisis across Canada. So we've been discussing with communities in different provinces for different uses, accessory dwelling units, and urban centers, because we recognize that housing is needed everywhere.
For Project Sapphire, what are you doing to track the long-term outcome of the students in their employability and satisfaction and being able to maintain in the jobs?
As this program is integrated in universities, we'll be able to track this progress through their accessible learning centers, as well as we are going to be very closely connected with the students throughout their transition into employment, where we will be able to monitor these metrics.
Your unemployment rate for people with autism, 14.3. What is it for students if you segment, though, individuals with a post-secondary degree, though?
The employment rate for autistic post-secondary students is incredibly low. This is because they really rely on the career centers at their university, meaning that they don't seek external support that is autism-specific in autism-specific support organizations. So they don't get the support they need, meaning that they are less likely to be employed.
Congratulations, great presentation. Quick question on the homes. You talked about some big numbers. There was a $41 million number and also 28 homes plus another 25 coming in Barrie, agreements in conversation. Can you give us a bit more context to where all that stands? Thank you.
Absolutely. The $41 million is actually committed from Prosper NWT to support the development of Indigenous-led businesses around housing. So they'll be investing into these Indigenous-led businesses and supporting them, with our team providing business planning and mentorship support. As for the 20 to 25 homes, that's in partnership with a community housing provider in Barrie. The 28 homes in Nunavut is actually because we were shortlisted as an applicant for the Nunavut Housing Supply Challenge to meet their goal of 3,000 new homes by 2030. But it's only a minimum of 28, and there's so much opportunity to build homes up there because there's just no solution that they have that works for them.
Hi, amazing presentation. Question on Sapphire. It notes that you want to provide internship opportunities to 50 students. Can you talk a little bit about maybe any partnerships that you've made with corporations of where those internships will be coming from, or just the ease of finding those for the students?
We are working with Magnet, who is connecting these students with employers. This number has come from the number of internships that they have guaranteed for us for our winter term after the students in our fall term complete their work-ready skills training. After our winter term of internships, every semester after that, we will have more and more internships, again, connected through Magnet.
Thanks for the presentation. For Caponia, what are the economics of your kits versus multi-unit dwellings, so large apartment buildings?
Absolutely. So one of the largest needs in the north is that there's just no transitional housing available. And typically what they get up there is modular housing, not multi-unit housing. Our kit is much more affordable in the long term because it encourages community members to build their own home as opposed to using external skilled
Your
labor.
time has expired. Judges and guests, please help me in congratulating the team from Wilfrid Laurier University.